G'day and welcome to another episode of DJF Live. We're up to episode 7 or 8 now, doing one every week, 11 a.m. Eastern. Glad to have you here. On today's show, I want to talk to you about Companion version 2.2.0 because it's been a whole year of us running betas that are pretty stable for the most part, although there have been a few hiccups along the way as we've been testing out new modules. And as of a couple of days ago, I think it was like 2 days ago, the version 2.2.0 stable release has been released. And so we're going to install that today. And we're going to do that live. I haven't downloaded it yet, and I am running Companion while I'm doing this live stream. So hopefully everything goes smoothly. We'll see. I'm running a build, like a beta build at the moment. And so this will be the first time I officially upgrade to the stable release. If we want to take a look at some of the things that are in there, let's look. So in the release notes, we've got version 2.2.0. One of the big things, you're probably familiar with it if you've been in the betas for a while, is that there's a new web interface. So it looks a bit like this kind of thing. So a better layout is going to work better for future builds, is what we're told. There's a whole bunch of stuff, so I'll skim through this. There's the macOS M1 processor version, documentation's been uploaded, updated, and what else we got? X keys, if you have that, and a number of like USB rescans can be triggered from the remote API protocols, and then also from up here in this little menu, which I think is off screen for you at the moment, and yeah, the main change that is not working for me at the moment in the betas is that I can't run the two Stream Decks at the same time as well as the Elgato Stream Deck software. So at the moment, what I'm doing is, let's get this one off. That's better. At the moment, what I'm doing is using just Companion on its own. I'm not running Elgato's software as well. If you only have one Stream Deck, you could run both of them together. But when you run two Stream Decks or more, what you'll find is the surfaces are in sync. So all of these buttons will change across all of your surfaces as you change one on one surface. So that's something that I'm still not sure about to see if this will work. What else we got? Some bug fixes, Mac OS things, and then a ton of new modules. Which again, if you've been in the betas, then you would probably know some of these modules, but there's a lot that's been added in there, and it's a good reference that to take a look through all of the connections. They're not called instances anymore, they're called connections, and just to make sure that maybe there's some gear in here that you already own, and you'll be able to bring that onto your network and sort of control that through Companion. So there's a ton of stuff in there, and then these modules also have improvements. Again, there's way too many to go through in by the list, but let's get started. So what I'm going to do initially is we are going to download it. So I'm going to go to BitFocus. So if you're playing along at home and you want to do this as well, this is something you can do. Also in the comments, let me know where you're joining from. I'd love to hear where you are in the part of the world, and the ways in which you're using Companion to run your live streaming software. I'm going to bring us a little bit closer here. Where are we? I'm just going to bring us right in to here. Playing with my cameras. All right, let's get framed up. Okay, so we've gone to bitfocus.io, and we're going to read more. And we go download. And at this point, I have actually already logged in, so you would have to create an account and log in if you haven't done that already. And then we've got different versions here. So now the only Companion version that is on the front page here is the stable version as of 19th of March, so that's 2 days ago. And you got Windows, Mac, two versions of Mac if you got Intel or the ARM is what I've got. And then the Linux one if you're running a Raspberry Pi. So you probably familiar from over the years, if you've been doing this, is click on this beta build. So this is where I would have normally gone, and then there's this ton of up-to-date ones that are you know, 63 minutes ago, Joseph Adams, who is an amazing developer in this community, is still creating and moving things forward. So, you know, the next version is still going to be reiterated and coming on from here. Okay, so I just want to click on the Mac version because that's what I got. And I'm going to go to my downloads. All right, so this is where I'm going to double click on this, and it's going to bring up the disk image, and I'm going to drag it on. And I'm going to open up my applications, and I'm going to Companion. All right, so you can see I have a bunch of applications here because I've been using all these builds, and then the release candidate here. This is the new one. I'm just going to call this 2.2.0 because I like to keep things organized because I got so many of them. And I'm first going to go up and quit my current Companion. So you'll notice my Stream Deck will go, no more Stream Deck, and I have lost a lot of my control there. So we better get this up and running. All right, so let's open that up. And we would like to open it. That's really nice. And it's launched. You may remember from having to do this at the what do you call it? The signing off of the certificates used to be a thing where you had to like right click it and open it and then go. Basically, you'd have to go like right click, open, and then say, yes, I want to open up this package, even though I don't know where it comes from on the internet. But now that is more authenticated, my level of knowledge about that, and it's working, and it's running up here in this little taskbar that you cannot see because that's slightly off screen for you guys. And I'm basically going to go to this one. I'm going to go launch GUI. Welcome to new Companion. All right, what do we got here? Whether new, upgrading, a number of things you should review before using Companion, the wizard will walk you through the following configuration settings. You notice that my Stream Deck has sprung back to life with my current configuration, so that's all the same thing. Okay, USB surface detection configuration, remote control surfaces, admin, GUI, password, and next. USB surface detection, Stream Deck USB, use Companion natively, use Companion via, okay, so this is going to be something, it's nice that they've done this to sort of give new users the visibility of like how do I want to control that, because that is something that if you've been using Elgato's native software, then running that in tandem with Companion can be a bit confusing sometimes. So I'm actually going to use natively because I just find that more robust, but you can run it in tandem with Stream Deck software itself. And I don't have an X keys USB keypad, so I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to, yes, that's all fine. These are all the same ports. And enable admin password. I'm going to skip that for now. And review settings. Detected by Companion natively. X keys, admin. Okay, all right, so I'm going to apply that. Congratulations. Go to control tabs, control, buttons, tabs, devices. All right, cool, finish. And we are back in there. So that's a nice little wizard to get you started if you haven't used that before. But that brings me back into this, oh, there we go, configuration wizard. That's whole new. It has a little button there. I haven't seen that before. Emulator, that's still working. What do we got? Web buttons. I still do not like the web buttons. Yeah, that's no use. New web buttons. Again, I don't think this is going to be very useful because if I try and put it on cycle, hide the buttons, hide full screen, and loop the pages, then when I click on my menu buttons, it doesn't actually jump through to the next page. So I've never used this. But if you want to have 99 pages of infinite scrolling and find your button, then I guess that's an option as well. But I don't use that. That's what I use the emulator for, because that actually works really well in terms of replicating exactly what's going on the Stream Deck. Okay, close that down. That should be all similar. Across here is all the same stuff that you have probably seen before if you've been in the betas, because this is going to look very familiar. Connections tab is here on the left, and you can add a connection. So if you had an ATEM, that's where you would search for that, and you could add that in. And like we said, there's so many modules that have been added, and there's just a ton. So go through that in your own time and have a look at, like, if you've got any audio things or video devices that it can control already, which would be a real win. Okay, I've already got these are all my modules that I've got in here for my profile that didn't need changing, so I'm just carrying forward my old settings. If I click on the next tab, buttons, this is under import and export. That's where I would have, let's make sure that's in. Yeah, you can see that. That is where I would have brought that in. So I would have imported a profile on that. And yeah, so this is where you control all of your buttons. You have up to 99 pages, and then you come back to 1. So you've got, 100 odd pages that you can fill with things and lay it out how you want, and then use menu buttons to jump around as you see fit. Across here, we're going to have edit. You can edit the button itself. There's whole presets, which are really nice. Like for H2R, you can have these pre-built buttons. So if I've got, for example, my rundown here, all of these assets, I guess, that you would say, that I've built in H2R, they are automatically detected in Companion as a preset. And so I could go to a random page and I could drag on like a button. And if I click that, yeah, it's sort of working. As some of you guys know, my Raspberry Pi is not doing 100%. All right, presets, variables. This is where you're going to find all of the values. So for example, my PTZ camera is going to show me like the shutter speed and all that kind of stuff that I can pull through onto buttons so I have feedback. And then import and export. Let's just go ahead and export a version because I haven't done that in the last day or so. Okay, so we are working our way through here. Surfaces. Now I can rescan for USB, so it's got the same surfaces there. And these are the current surfaces that I have attached, which is an emulator, which is if I click this one, that's what is changing something. So if I wanted to, let me see, if I go to my super source and input on box 1, I could change that in there. So that's all working as a surface. And then I've got, these are the serial numbers of my 2 specific Stream Deck devices, and they're running natively at the moment. So, which brings us to what that wizard was saying. If you do want to run it through Elgato's software, which let's just see if we can boot that up and if that's going to cause problems. Okay, cool. All right, so here is the plugin, but it's not coming through because Companion has control over that at the moment. So I'd probably have to reset the USB or restart Companion or something like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just jump over to settings. Excuse me. This is where on remove the top bar on each button, that's where I have taken that top bar away. You'll notice if I turn that off, then all of these buttons will have their numbers, like page 1, button 1, all the way through to 32. I just like having that off because it gives more design real estate and feedback that's more essential, so you can see what you're doing. And then the next thing is under Use Elgato plugin for Stream Deck access. Now, this is the one that you would check, and that's what we're saying in the wizard if you want to use that on the with the native software. So see now it is populated because I've turned on that plugin. The downside is if I go to my what have I got? My Stream Decks. Okay, so I've got 2 Stream Decks, and they're running independently, and they're also not connected to this Stream Deck software, even though that's coming through. So I would have to, I'm trying to think if I have to actually undo it or not. I could probably quit Companion. Just going to quit Companion. Okay, and I'm also going to quit Stream Deck software, and then I'm going to reboot Stream Deck software. And so now you can see that this is running Stream Deck software natively. So if I click through here, these are their two independent surfaces, and I've got home surfaces that are controlled by the Stream Deck software. So I can jump through it. I'm not going to press these other buttons because they're going to open up Zoom and Resolve and all that kind of stuff. But essentially, I've got my ATEM switching page, and I've got my home page where I can do things like change the volume on the music and run scripts and stuff like that. And they are independent, which is good, because otherwise you got two of the same thing, unless you're having two people in two different places trying to run the same thing. So then what I have to do is come back to Companion, and I'm going to open this. How about we drag this one on so that we are working with the right one, and we'll get rid of that, and we'll get rid of the RC version. So now I just have Companion Remote, and I have Companion. So if I boot that up, this should load up again in a second. Just having to think about it. Cool. All right. Brings us back to that page. Okay. Let me see. And okay, so we have turned on this plugin, and we now have the native Stream Deck is independently controlled, as you can see here. But I think this is where it's going to be the problem if it's the same as the betas, which is if I want to control them separately, then the Companion software is going to replicate itself, and it's going to follow itself. Because over under Surfaces, Emulator, Plugin, okay, and then, yeah, okay, so see how when I've hit my menu button on one Stream Deck, and then it has changed the other Stream Deck to manage it in the same manner, because how do I explain this? Where are we? So on Stream Deck, when you go Companion, and you have a Companion button that you can drag on, that button is referencing something on the Companion server. And on the Companion server, this is saying so we got, remember the emulator surface, we had the individual Stream Deck surfaces. I can't see them at the moment because the Companion software is controlling it. But now we've got the plugin, which is the one that we turned on in the settings. So Elgato Stream Deck Access requires Companion's restart. We turned that on. So now under our settings, under our surfaces, we have this plugin, and that's what's feeding through the information to these Stream Decks. But Companion is seeing this as a single surface. So anytime I make a change to that surface, it's updating the surface no matter how many places it's being read out. So as far as I can see, that is the current limitation in terms of this version of Companion 2.2.0, which is that you can run Companion and native Stream Deck software at the same time on one Stream Deck. But if you have two or more Stream Decks, then you're really just going to have to run Companion only, and you can't run the native Stream Deck software as well in the background. It gets very confusing because the hardware is called Stream Deck, and the software is called Stream Deck, Elgato Stream Deck, or something like that. So finishing off this little mini tour, we've got triggers. So you can actually create triggers now. So maybe you wanted to do like run, maybe like start show. So I could go time of day. So when my internal clock hits 11 a.m., then I want to, or on Monday, which was today, I'm not going to fully run this. I want to run an action, which is a button press. And I'm going to do page 2 and button something. Maybe start a new page. 127. What was it? Okay, so what I've got is on my custom page, I've got this button. So I have my pre-show, which loads up all the camera angles. And then I have another script, which is run, so that when it hits 11 a.m. and we start the show, I hit that. It starts moving the cameras, it resets things, it opens up the microphone so that you can hear what's going on. And that is the button that I would have to hit at 11 a.m. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know, my head's off somewhere else thinking about something I'm troubleshooting on a Raspberry Pi or something. And then I'm like, oh, wow, we're actually like 10 seconds down and I need to like get this show underway. So I could have that button run automatically, which would be 212. See, so we've got page 2, button 12. So if I come back over here, page 2, button 12. Cool. And then I would save that. And then that is basically a script that would sit in the background. And so that every Monday at 11 o'clock, Companion is going to hit that button and start the show. So that is how you can use triggers to automate things for you if you just want to take some of that workload off your hands and sort of pre-figure it out before the show. And okay, then settings, what have we got? Navigation buttons, devices. I do have a Logitech R400 little remote, which is kind of handy if you ever want to give a presenter a clicker and like start a video or something. You can target those buttons to a specific button on a companion page. TCP, UDP, OSC, that's important for what I've done in terms of a lot of my profile is requiring that OSC for secondary functions to be running. Admin password I haven't played with yet, web server, the fun stuff in there, and then a log, and that's about it. All right, so let's go back to, oh, we're going wide. Let's go to B. What do we got? Eric, yeah, hit me up with your comments. Any questions about Companion so far and what we've got going on here? Eric says, thanks for doing this live. That's a long list of improvements, and yes, it is very long, and it's, I guess if you've played with this for a long time, it's easy to see that a lot has been achieved in a year, and it's easy to forget that. John says, oh, hey. And then says he really likes version 2.2, but he's been using it so long, yeah, that he had forgotten all of the new things that have been released. I think that's probably true for many of us because the stable version of the betas has been so good that I've been using it in my shows and I haven't had problems with it. I did had some problems in like July last year. There was my profile had gotten too big and it wouldn't load in. And they changed some of that to be able to handle bigger profiles and some of the button feedback and that kind of stuff. But it's been running very well, and I've never had a problem with it on a show. And it's also nice to be just have an official version now. Said it's nice to see the developer certificate, which is probably the word that I was looking for, is fully Apple App Store compliant, which is true. Which is, yeah, it's always nice, particularly if you're not familiar with the project and you're new to the community, and then you come across this app which promises to change your live streaming so much, and then you're like, hang on a second, what's all this like stuff that I have to approve in the permissions in macOS X? And so now it's nice that that is all signed off on and taken care of. Eric says he now understands that Elgato Companion multiple stream decks issue some people report on the Hidoar Discord. Yeah, so that's kind of what was going on from that. We've got Little Bunny's Workshop from India. Welcome, good to have you here. And John, getting some buffering on my end. Is it just me? It's me only, or is video actually freezing? Yes, me too. It's cutting in and out. Interesting. Okay. Yes, okay, so I've got an error here. Okay, let's have a look. Open widget. Your poor stream status. Wonder why that is. Yeah, I've got this notice here. Does anyone know how to fix that? Stream is healthy, an error at 2021. I should have everything set up. Let me just see. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's an ATEM thing. I should have a ton of bandwidth. Speed tests. Speed tests. I feel like that might be an ATEM thing. And yeah, I've got like 500 meg up and down, so that should be fine. Lower than recommended bitrate. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that because it's fine on my end, which I don't know in terms of my throughput. But yes, I am having buffer problems apparently on the ATEM output. ISO live stream. Interesting. Not sure. Maybe some people could point me. I know there's. I've seen this on the forum, so I need to go look up in terms of what is that with YouTube and the settings. Because what I'm getting here is that the stream's current bitrate is 1685 kilobits per second, which is lower than the recommended bitrate. So it's something about a low bitrate stream. But yeah, I would have to change that. Okay. I'm going to, let me see if we go, hello and welcome back. Hopefully we are coming through this, and I'm going to pull. All right, so I haven't had that before. We've got people saying there was constant buffering going on and can't understand a word, and John saying, nope, it's in Holland as well. So the problem is on my end, which I haven't encountered this before, but I have seen it in forums where it's saying the data rate is too low. Yeah, so I stopped it and I started again, which must be, I think, an ATEM thing. Is that right? Has anyone had that before? As I said, I have seen that on forums where YouTube says the data rate is too low, whereas I'm sending, I was doing it in streaming high before, so it should have been sending plenty through. But yeah, I'm guessing it's some sort of cache buffer thing on the ATEM. But let me know. Let me know if you know what's going on there, because I haven't had that problem before. Okay. Cool. Eric says, seems like the stream is stable now within the last 5 minutes. And Jules says the buffering is okay now. So all I did there was went off air and went on air again. So that's obviously flushed out something in the ATEM. I'm not sure. But if you know what's going on, let me know. We shall press on. Looks good. Okay. Do you have any questions? Hopefully we're still up and running and this stream is still working. But if you have any questions about the latest install, let me know. I guess for me, there's not too much of a, there's nothing new between like the latest betas of the last couple of weeks and this version, other than like the configuration wizard. I haven't seen that before. But in terms of all of the modules and all that kind of stuff, it seems very familiar from the betas of the last couple of months. Okay. While we're here, I don't know, I'll just show you my rack is still a work in progress. I just have it sitting here, which is running everything, and it's similar to last week where I've now got this USB-C hub, which has been replaced and has it has a USB-C port in on it rather than a fixed port, so that I can plug that into some of the other tethering patches that are coming. But anyway, that is very similar to last week of starting to label some of the power switches along here, and I haven't as yet put this tray inside here. It's still sitting up on top because I'm still just figuring out where I want to put everything. Like for example, I've got this Raspberry Pi here, which will have 2 USB. Let me cut to that one. I think we got the rack version of this, and rack. No, not that one. Nope. Nope. Okay. Nope, that's not coming. Hang on a second. I just have to restart some of these modules. Custom. All right, PTZ 2 rack. There we go. Okay, bear with me. Cut. There we go. Got it. So I've still got the 2 Raspberry Pis, and I'm just figuring out, like for example, I've got these USB-A to USB-Cs because they're going to be fed through to the front of the rack, which will come out here, so I can plug in a Stream Deck from the front. And then I may or may not keep this second Pi in there. At the moment, it's sort of play out B, but I haven't fully got that up and running, and I might just keep it out just so I can play with it externally to this rack setup. And I'll probably get rid of these PoE extractors. So at the moment, it's pulling PoE out of the switch, and it's extracting that and making go to the network for the Pi, and then also power for the Pi. But I think I might put that 5 volt on a different circuit back down here, so I can just like flick off the Pi if I want to reboot that and troubleshoot anything in that regard. And then yeah, everything else is just sort of sitting loose on top, and haven't fully fixed everything down and put that into place. But yeah, that is where that's at. So probably another week or two, and then I should have better info on that, and then sort of more of a finished product on the deck. Cool. Yes, Hans says hasn't seen any of this buffering in the earlier shows. Yeah, I haven't had that problem either yet, but like I said, I have seen that in forums where people, I think it's that problem where people say the cache is full or the buffer's low or something like that. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's a network thing. Could be a network thing because the internet should be fine. There's plenty of internet. So I will look into that, and hopefully we are back up and running. But my troubleshooting there really was stopping the stream. So YouTube was not set to auto stop. YouTube just keeps the stream open. And I just turned off the ATEM's streaming. I set it down to medium, even though it was saying it was too low and it should be higher. But just restarting that seemed to flush something out, and it worked. Because it seems like we're back up and all smooth, and it says stream status excellent. And yeah. Question here is, are you streaming through the GL iNet? I am. So, you know, maybe that could be something to do with the settings. I did notice. This is purely speculative, but I feel like there might be something in H2R that is doing a lot of pings on the network or something about that, because I had it was a little sluggish. So I don't know if that's the way that I've got that set up across the network with the Pi, but I'm gonna have to work that out and see what's going on there. Yeah, but I haven't had any problems with the GL iNet router in terms of dropping out or not being fast enough. So if that is a router thing, then I don't know. I guess maybe I could look at some logs and see what happened there. Cool. Little Bunnies says, what's new in version 2.2.0? What is new is what I was running through it at the top of the show, but I'll go just over that again a little bit. Let me see if I can bring this up. Yeah, we're good. Okay. What is new? There's a ton of stuff that's new, and like we were saying before, it's just probably there's a lot of people who are very familiar with that, having used that over the last year. Several months ago, sometime last year, the new interface was written. macOS builds are now signed and notarized. If you want to read where that is, that's under github.com/bitfocus. So you can search for those changes under the GitHub of Bitfocus Companion. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's, if you were coming to it new and hadn't, it's probably mainly the modules. Like if you haven't looked at Companion in a long time, you know, like 6 months or a year, then there's a lot of things that are like new. The ones that I use, Canon PTZ, Playout B. What else do I use in here? There's just so many that I get lost in here. And then also a lot of module improvements. So like the ATEM module, H2R has got a new version of it. All that kind of stuff is being updated. So well worth getting into it. I think it's a easier application to use, and I would say it's more robust as well. But yeah, that's what we got there. Cool. Triggers and what the purpose it solves. I just showed that before, so just go back in the DVR and you'll see some of that. But I just sort of did a rough scenario. But basically, under triggers and schedules, under this tab here, you can automate things. So you can base that on a parameter, like if an instance is starting up or has any button depressed or something. Or if you want to do, as I was saying, time of day before, if you wanted to like trigger something at the top of the hour to run for the show, or what was the one that I use? Feedback is one that I use for like VLC stop is one that you could use. So for example, you would go, just say you wanted, when VLC stops playing, you want it to stop VLC and transition back to your main camera. And the way you would do that is find a variable. So you would go VLC, if the playing, where are we? If the playing time left is hours, minutes, seconds equals, and then the value. In this instance, I found it's good not to go 1 because it's just too fine. So 2 seconds before, so be 000002. Yeah, VLC stop. Okay, so add an action. So we want to we really want to do an auto is what we want to do. Perform an auto transition because I want to. So just say in a conference, I've played a video. I want to know that when that video has stopped playing, it's just going to automatically come back to the camera, and I don't have to worry about, you know, waiting for the end of the video and then hitting stop and transitioning over. So you can automate that. Okay, so it's going to do an auto transition, and what else would it do? That's probably about it. Just an auto transition. You could make it stop. Maybe I'll go VLC, just, I don't think you have play pause. You could pause, resume, maybe. I don't know. Okay, so we save that. Now you notice here, these ones, I have some other ones for tallies and stuff that I'm not actually running at the moment. So these are disabled. Whereas this one, which I just built VLC stop, is enabled. So if I click this, that would disable it. If I go edit, I can see what's going on here. Now, so what we need to try is seeing VLC run. So I'm going to, under my, got got that way over the, bring this down. This is my Stream Deck here. And I'm just gonna get rid of this so we can see what's going on. So let's go say that I was going to my VLC, and it's actually, I don't have this set up properly. It's just sitting in my window here. Oop. Bring up VLC, where did I put that? Oh, there we go. Okay, so VLC is playing in the background. I can hit play, it's coming through, and on my Stream Deck I can see the seconds remaining here. So I can see I've got 22 seconds. Let's just give it the time and see if I set this up correctly so that it would transition. So in my preview monitor, what I'm going to put on is my main camera. So you can't see that yet, but it's this shot that I'm looking at. And I've got this little pre-roll. So I got, and then it did it. Apologies, it was, I'll do that one more time. It was not very easy to see, but it did work. Okay, so let's go back to, oh, that's why I've got my, I'm running the Stream Deck in the background, which is not ideal. So let's get rid of that. I'm gonna go to my super source and Stream Deck, this one, and I'm gonna go quit. I just don't like Stream Deck. I like just sticking with the Companion at the moment. I'm gonna rescan these surfaces, and I've ignoring Stream Deck devices, the plugin has been enabled. I need to uncheck this. And then under my surfaces, I can rescan, and we're back in action now. So under my PTZ cameras, you can see that I've got these working independently, which is why that changed before. Okay, so we are testing VLC on this screen. So on PTZ, I'm gonna bring up the Stream Deck 2 for you so you can see what's going on there. We've set up that trigger, and that's just listening in the background. So anytime VLC's time hits 2 seconds, it's gonna do that action, which is do an auto. So you might wanna set that up in a way so you know what's on the other side of that in the preview. Usually when I'm running a show, it'll be, if I take a video, it'll have additional actions behind it. For example, we're in a conference, cutting back and forth between cameras, and then when I go take VTR, it pushes, it changes the HDMI output so that the main screen that people are looking at in the venue becomes the video source. And then also if you're on a web, like Zoom or something like that, they're also getting a version of that. And then it would also say in the preview monitor, put camera 1 of the room, for example, on a wide, just into the preview, so I'm ready to fall back onto that when we finish the video. All right, so I've got my surfaces back, and I'm gonna go to, let's see if we can hit these ones. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to this one. I'm gonna go full screen, because we can do that. And I can select different videos. What have we got? 26, 34, 44. Let's go to Sydney, because that's shorter. Okay, so I've queued up my video, and I'm going to play it. The video's coming through. 19 seconds, and then in my preview monitor, that's where I'm gonna put myself onto screen. And then I can just keep an eye on the time here, 9, 8, 7. It's not so good because this one actually goes to black, is in this video, 4, 3, and then 2 seconds, it'll be like, hey guys, wasn't that a great video? So that's an example of how you can use triggers to automate things so you don't have to pay close attention or you don't miss things. You know, like you can then be focusing on getting your cameras set up and all that kind of stuff. So that's one way to use that. All right, where are we at? Eric says stream is excellent, which is good. I don't know what was happening before, so thanks for sticking with it. And okay, so John says, H2R graphics is indeed pinging a lot. I did ask around, and this was recommended way to do it. However, I believe on a Pi, it may cause issues. Okay, so I might have to look into that because I did feel like it was just like there's a lot of activity going on, probably to keep that awesomeness running in the background. So we'll see. I don't know if it's that or maybe there's something else on the network. Or we could just blame the ATEM. I feel like we just blame the ATEM. Maybe that's the problem. Little Bunny says, does triggers run automatically or do we need to add a key press? It runs automatically depending on something. So, you know, it could be time of day. It could also be like if you press a button somewhere or if you create a variable with a certain value and it matches that trigger, it'll do an action. So it's very sort of diverse. Jules wants to know, do you have any advice on removing background noise from a video interview taken on my iPhone 12 Pro? The Rode mic attached was not working during the interview. The best way would be to do a noise print. So if you can find another portion of that video where there's just the white noise, and it's a good practice anytime you do an interview, even while you have, if you're using lapel as well, with the subject with the lapel on, you can see I've got this microphone, which is like just in shot here. Let's get that out of shot. There we go. So we clean that up. While you still have the lapel microphone on the Talent, record 30 seconds of audio, and you can use that as a noise print in software. I'm trying to think where it is in Resolve. Let me see if that's... I'm not going to open up Resolve just because it's going to take a while and it's going to look for hard drives that aren't there and that kind of stuff. But within Fairlight, within Resolve, that's where you could go in and... it's got some features where it can automatically recognize the background audio. So I'd go into Resolve. Let's give it a go. Okay. Hopefully this doesn't do anything. Yeah, it's having to think. Ding, ding, ding. So new project, I'll skip that download. I'm going to go over to 7. I'll just turn this on so you can see what I'm doing. Show page navigation. So down here is where you're going to have your edit page is probably what you're familiar with. And then the Fairlight page over here. And you would, I don't have any audio in here. Fairlight. It's somewhere in there. I think you need an audio clip, and then you can add a filter on, which would be over here in the mixer, which is not. I don't have any tracks in there, so I'd have to drag in a track, and then over here you can add like a noise filter, and the advantage of applying it to the track is that if you've got a whole bunch of clips that you've cut up, then that can be treated across the track rather than having to do every individual. Sorry, you can't see that, I realize, because of the... but yeah, over on this side this is where you'll find your tracks, and then under here you could add a noise under restoration. This keeps going off the screen. I'm going to keep moving this over. Under here, under restoration, noise reduction. Here we go. Okay, this is what I was talking about. Auto speech mode. It has this one where it will, to some degree, like fairly good, do that. Or you can click learn for a particular section, and then it'll do a noise print is basically what that is. So yeah, that's that. Hopefully that helped. Hans says, where are we? Brilliant live performance. I'm not sure exactly what I did there, but thank you. A lot of it comes down to the guy behind the Stream Deck. Thank you, I appreciate that. Software like Isotope RX. Yeah. Eric says, launch Resolve, it's a big program. It is, but the Mac M1 Max actually handles things pretty well. Like it sort of took like a little time to load up, but it didn't, the system didn't crash, you know, and I'm running 4 monitors here. I've got these 2 screens, and I've got a copy of those that the Mac is actually running through a different Thunderbolt connection into the, what do you call it? The ATEM Extreme. So, you know, I've got a lot of monitors going on, and on my, where are we? On this, I've got, what have I got? Yeah, not that much, I guess. Just Resolve, Safari, H2R, ATEM, system preferences, because I was having network things before. Just quit that. Just quit that. Do I want to save it? I do not want to save. So yeah, like the new Mac's handling it pretty well. And, you know, if I never needed to, I've got the Raspberry Pi as a backup of another Stream Deck, although it's not fully plugged in at the moment. Yeah. Absolutely no crash. That's the way we like it, which is interesting, because that buffering problem that I was having before, if it's a network thing, would that have happened on OBS? Might have. Is it, if it's an ATEM thing, would have happened on the ATEM? But it's nice being able to just turn that off and on, and then flush out the stream, and yes, maybe you lose 30 seconds of the connection and all that kind of stuff, but the stream continues, and you know, we're now 50 minutes into this, so we should probably wrap up soon. So if you got any other questions, pop them in the chat and we can get going on that. What else we got going on here? Okay, Lucas wants to know, is it possible to run a camera switching loop with a button press? Yes. Yeah, I've played with that before, and it wasn't like, I mean, I'm not sure what you mean by the, what the use case of that is. So if you have a use case, let me know. The use case that I could think of was like a music performance where you've got musicians who are also running a live stream, and they're playing their instruments and they can't switch camera angles. And so for the music part of their live stream, they would just hit a button which is looping through different camera angles. Like the downside of that is, you know, maybe every 5 seconds you change angles, and it's not much rhythm to it. It's just, or like sense of direction with that. It's just kind of like following it. Whereas I think if you got something, and I haven't fully played with it yet and I want to, but if you got Adam Tao's mix effect program, I think there's an audio follows video function in there, and that would actually have a better sense of following like an audio source. The downside of that is you really need to have a clean audio source coming on those different angles so that you could direct it where to go. So that might be a bit of setup on the back end, but at least it would be more intuitive. But to answer your question in terms of can you create a switching loop? You can, and it would be simple, I would think, which if you just make a button and you go call it something, and you would go probably just program, set ATEM, so I say PTZ1, and then I'll say program, let's do 4 of them. Okay, so we've got 4 buttons. I'm gonna put a 1,000 second delay on all of these just because I'm gonna go quickly because demo. And then we're going to turn on relative delays. So they're going to do one after the other. And I'm basically going to go camera 1, and then I want to loop to camera 2, and then I want to go, what do we got? I got an iPhone shot in here, and then 4 has nothing. Pi, let's go to, maybe we're going to do the Mac screen. Okay, so these are going to go through. And then at the end of this, you want to go press, button press, this page, this button, which you probably want 1,000, maybe not. Probably don't want, you probably just want it to be 0. So let's test that. And let me just get rid of this. Okay. So I'm going to go to my, what was I on? My show page. So this is the button here, loop. This doesn't look very good. It's got to look good. Got to make these things look nice, easy to read. And we're going to make it yellow just for, oh, that's terrible. Okay. Black, loop. Okay, so this is going to be my loop button that I'm going to press to change my camera inputs, and let's see if they work. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so yes, this is looping through. You probably want more control now where you can stop that. And so maybe, I wonder if I could just put on like a latch option. So abort actions on button. And if we go latch toggle and press again. Now, does that 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and that stops latch toggle. Okay, so you might want to do, let me see. So I can come back to my super source so you can see what's going on here. Okay. You could probably try and find a way to make that like a little toggle button. So you hit loop and it's looping through, you hit it again and it goes off. Or the other way would just be like stop loop. And I'm going to make this orange for fun. Okay, and when I'm going to do this, I'm going to go abort actions on button, this page, and this happens to be button 8. So this page, button 8, is what I'm going to get to save myself and get out of this. And I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to undo my, before when it was putting through, I had latch toggle, which I had turned on, and I had an abort thing here, but it didn't seem to quite work. So I'm going to delete that. And now I've got my stop loop and I've got my loop button. So if I hit loop, it's cutting through the different angles and it's coming back to itself on a continuous cycle like that. And then if I want to stop loop, there you go. I just pressed it and it's ended up on, it's like musical chairs. Yeah, you could have a game where you just like, or like Russian roulette, where you like got the barrel rolling and then, yeah. So this is a way that you could set that up in terms of just having a button press. So it's not actually like, I guess, triggers or automations, but that's one way to go about it. But great question, because it's easy sort of use case to demonstrate. If you notice, I got all this mess back here. This is all of the boxes and stuff for this rack that is still the work in progress, and I still need to clean up back there. So today I was like orienting the studio, so this is against here, which just gives me more room to move. I don't have to go around the desk. I quite like this angle. I feel like it's different, breaks it up a bit. It's a bit more of like a side-by-side chat. Yeah, otherwise I have the desk around this way and it's front-facing, which is probably the best angle in terms of getting a camera in there. But this is handy for building stuff like this rack. Yeah. Next question. Okay. Hans says, how many HDMI monitors are actually in your MacBook systems preferences? As far as I've been able to tell, I've been able to get 5 operating. I think I've seen in the specs somewhere for the Macs that you can do 6. So that was like 2 Thunderbolts, which have HDMIs out. Or actually, like, I have a OWC dock, which has DisplayPort and USB-C to these 2 monitors. And then I have a Sabrent something. I have a really nice little Thunderbolt 3 dock, which doesn't need any power, and it just has Thunderbolt 3 coming in one side and then 2 HDMI out the other side. So that is what I use as the mirror to go to the ATEM. And so that's basically, so in that mode, I'm not, for example, sending from the Mac to an HDMI duplicator and then going to a monitor and sending a duplicate to the HDMI. I'm actually using the Mac's, I guess, internal graphics to essentially create a mirrored pair, and one is going to the screen here and one is going to the display. So what that looks like is, sorry, to the ATEM. What that looks like is, just clean this up a bit. I'll bring you back. Okay, so that looks like under displays, it looks like this. So I've essentially got two monitors in front of me that I'm looking at, and I've got mirrored pairs of that going into the ATEM. So on the front, and I've set up, in this instance, I've set up the primary screen to be the Blackmagic input, because I want to make sure that those settings in terms of the scan rate and the color profile and stuff are good for you guys going out. And then what I see on here is probably secondary to that. So in the background, it's not going to show me. I think if I right click here, okay, so I've got this Dell, I've got 2 Dell monitors, and that's mirroring the Blackmagic one, and then I've got the same on this side. I'm not going to, I can go into settings. I'm not going to change anything here because it gets a little funky if everything jumps around. But essentially I'm running 4 HD displays at 60 Hertz, 1920 by 1080. And I'm in clamshell mode. So my computer's actually sitting under here. Just going to leave it where it is, just in case the USB-C doesn't play nice. And that's how I work generally. Is I've got my on my, let me see, let's show you the desk view on this one. Okay, so I've got my, or even wider. So I've got my mat, which I have here today. Usually I don't have that just because I like kind of clean up for the wood look, but usually I have this just to sort of protect it from me being silly and spilling things like my water here. Oh, yeah. And then I've got these 2 monitors which are on arms that can be very much moved around to any position or flipped around. And I use that, like if I'm doing a photo shoot, I can monitor what I'm shooting on this, and I can reorient it to be out of the way if I want to have a camera across from me. So these arms are fantastic. I really like what I've got going on there. And then I got my Stream Decks feeding into this little port which is going under the desk, and then I got a ton of stuff happening under the desk in terms of a hub and just cable management, and then just a little bit of a, I can probably show you actually. So this is the extension cable for the lightning that comes out of this port here. And if I cut to my iPhone, this is what's going off mic a bit, but this is my new laptop sitting over the old laptop, which is not being used at the moment. And on the back end of this, the 2 Thunderbolt on the other side, and these are the cables that are running the desk and also running the copy to the ATEM. And that's the only 2 things that I got plugged into the Mac. And then, see if we can go right under here. Okay, so then I got an OWC dock, which is hiding back there, which is running the 2 displays and sort of USB and Ethernet and that kind of stuff. And then over here, that's the what's that one? Can't even see from here. That's the iPhone adapter, which is this camera that I'm holding is going into there and going into HDMI into the ATEM. And then, where is it? Way down the bottom that's the Thunderbolt connection, which is running the mirroring of the displays. So it's very neat. And then this is all cable managed under here. There's power for the desk because the desk goes up and down. And then this modesty panel, I think they call it, which is kind of a weird word for it, and power bricks just kind of wraps up all the cables without having to do any cable management. That's, you know, it's very easy to change it because you just dump it in that bag. And then all of that comes around into a little snake that then goes off to the back there. And yeah, so that's the way that I've got that set up. And the reason that I've got that much cable is so that the desk can be moved to any part of the room, and it just has that sort of tether for power, video, internet. So I could set up, like sometimes if I'm editing, I'll actually go to like this sort of angle, which is, I guess, sort of the design of the soundproofing and stuff, is that I can actually just be facing there, have no distractions, and be working like that. So I'll edit sort of facing that direction, and then the desk will swing around because I've found that it's just easier with what I've got here in terms of the lighting rig and the monitoring. It's handy to just have that sort of mounted against the wall, and there's a rack back there which has all the camera gear. So that's kind of the way that that's set up, just to maximize the space in here. Yeah, so that's, I realized I sort of got off the the monitors, but that's what all the monitors are connected to, and how they're sort of mirroring into the live streaming setup itself. Yeah. All right. Martin's just joining. Martin, you can go back and look at the DVR playback, and if you get to the middle part where I drop out, do know that I come back. And Hans, video follow audio. Yes, that is what I mean. The other way around. That's correct. Can we save or restore a companion profile at the press of a button? Yes, can. And that's a good question. I'll bring up my screen again. You just go to buttons, import, export, and you would just go export like that. Close that down. And then if you wanted to import, you could go to the, where are we, the last thing that you've got. And you would go like this, and you would go replace current configuration. Or if you just wanted to bring in something specific, you could go import individual pages, and this will show up all of your modules. So for example, what I'm doing at the moment is I've built out a PTZ camera profile for camera 1, but then I want to be able to replicate that work for cameras 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's where I would select camera 2 so that I'm mapping PTZ 1 onto PTZ 2. So it's going to change all of those presets over. Or, you know, I've got 2 ATEMs in here. I've got an Extreme ATEM and I've got a Pro ATEM. So maybe like I've done some work in the keys and I just want to bring that over because essentially they're the same device. The Extreme just has more keys. It's got 4 instead of 1. So that's how you would do that. And you would go through a different page. You would find a page. So the one that I do a lot is if I've got a show, this is my kind of like custom page. So you'll see here, I've got my switching page. I have my custom page, which is where I have a lot of my regular things like my pre-show or running and that kind of stuff. Things that I fall back on or changing the multi-view of my side one over here. But page 3 is this show button. And if I'm doing an actual like show for a client, that's where I would build in specific things that I need. So that could be like queuing up a particular video in VLC, or it could be a particular camera angle that I need, or maybe like some sequences that I want to run, and I would put that in there. So that's where you can export the page like that. And then you could re-import that, or if you've got a sort of master profile, that's where you'd come in here, find the right page, find page 3, find page 3 there, and then you would go import to page 3, and they would only do that page. So you don't have to replace the whole profile. That's one way to do it. Let's close that one down. Cool. What else we got? Hans, USB-C to 2 HDMI dock sounds great. I don't think with a Mac you can do 2 on the USB-C. I think you can on Windows, but from Mac you need to get a Thunderbolt dock if you want to get 2 HDMI out or 2 any sort of different videos out. Otherwise, the only ones that you can get are like, let me go to my floor drobe. Okay. This is one that I had in my ATEM rig before, which is a Lasuni from Amazon, which is probably $40, $50, I'm not sure. But you'll notice like on Amazon, there's a lot of docks that have this little tail on the end, USB-C, and even though this one has 2 HDMI out, it's only got mirroring capability. And I have had instances where it didn't do so well. So I've only ever relied on one. But if I was to put something like this into my rack, what I would do is probably put one into the ATEM, and then I would have another one coming through to the front on some sort of port where I could basically get a copy out so that I could have a screen set up and have a sort of see a bigger version of what I'm looking at on the ATEM. What I don't like about these hubs is that they got this tail, so you need to get another, I got it somewhere, but like you need to, connect it to this cable. I got cables everywhere, just lying around. All right, so this is like a 6-foot USB-C 3.2, I think it is. So it should be, I think it's either 10 or 20 gigabits, I'm not sure, probably 10. But it does 100 watts throughput, and it's it's kind of like an extension cord, right? So you can plug in this. Sometimes with USB-C, they are one-sided, so you do actually have to, if it's not working, you have to flip it around and plug it in. And that's how you would sort of get that length if you're trying to get away from your switcher. But the one that I've just bought, throw that away, and the one that's going in, which, yeah, I'm not relying on it. Let's see. Let me see. Okay. I'm going to cut to my PTZ rack. And here we go, coming in. So I realize I'm going off mic again. So this is I think it's called Staygo. It's about $85, but it's got, yeah, it's not plugged in at all. This one is like, it's got this corner cable in there. The advantage is I can actually pull it out. So when I get, it's actually, so it's got a USB in port, which most of them don't have. It means I can change the length of the cable within this case so that I can get a short cable that will run from this dock through to the front here, so that I'll be able to essentially, when I get to set, I'll be able to plug in this side, and then this side will be a right angle cable that will go into the computer. That does mean I'm still only running a USB-C hub, which means there'll be one video in, and then I'll keep my Thunderbolt separately if I need more displays going into it. But there'll be one video input always in the device. So that's my current design with that, and then I've got a really chunky USB-C port, AC thing inside, which is giving me 85 watts pass through. So when I turn up, I can just have this brains unit that sits there, and then I plug in the cable, plug in the Mac, and then I've got video, internet, or Ethernet, I guess, all the network controls connected through to the router, and I got full power coming through, so I don't have to worry about additional plugging in of power. I'm gonna chuck this one down there. Yeah, so that's what I've got going on there. Eric says it's a very tidy, compact cable collection under the desk. I'm liking that cable bag on the Modesty Shield. Yeah, I've got the, what is it, Uplift. It's an Uplift desk. I bought it in Black Friday, so it had some money off, and it was probably still about $1,800 or something like that. But I wanted to get wheels. I got like big wheels so they can roll around the studio and they're not going to like, get caught on irregularities in the floor. And what else do I like about it? It's kind of simple. It's big, but not too big for this space. And I think a lot of, there's probably like another $500 that got added on because of the hardwood on this. And I just thought it's an investment in like this, even if I move studio spaces, this will be something that I would be okay having in a home or something, home office situation. So I think I will get a lot of use out of it. And it's been, it bounces a bit, right? But it feels solid. Like I realize these monitors are moving. It's probably when they're more off axis, they're prone to it a bit more. But it's actually been pretty solid for what I do, and it's been easy to move around. So I would recommend it. I think it's quite good. And Eric just jumped on. Can the new Companion control HDR graphics V2? Not certain if you already talked about this. It can. So you've been able to do that in the betas for a long time, and it's now part of the official version 2. So that's something in my profile I'm planning on updating, which is just a matter of getting the time amongst all the other things going on to sort of go through and do like a really good kind of tune up of the profile and make sure that is a universally good experience for people rather than just a very sort of niche case for people's needs. One last thing before I start to wrap up is this case that I got the other week, it has these holes in here. So you'll have, again, if I go over here, rearranging the studio, it'll have this panel that slides on, right? So it's got these little hooks that go in, and they'll slide in like that, and it'll close it up that way for transport. But there's kind of like dead space in here, and so I found these 8-inch pouches on Amazon, which have taken the use case of holding my cables. So any sort of little cables or connections that I need external to this rig are going to sit in these there's 4 of them, so there's 1 on each side. And then they can just stash away, and they're also part of that. And so just one way to maximize storage and not have additional bags for those little cables. Yeah, cool. All right, I think that's about it, guys. What are we? 20 minutes over. So we should probably wrap up there. And thanks for joining. Next week I'm doing a Holy Land thing, and they've got a new product that they're releasing, so stick around for that. But I'm not going to do it on the Monday because they're releasing their product on I think it's Thursday next week, end of the month. So it'll probably be like 9 a.m. Eastern time on Thursday next week, not Monday. So just let you know that is coming. And yeah, we're going to chat about some new hardware that they have, which is pretty cool. I'm excited to show it to you and do a little demo and sort of explain this product, because I think from what I gather, it's like a new little niche in the market, which I think could be cool. But yeah, thanks for joining. Thanks for all the guys who added comments. I was going to say guys and girls, but then you're probably all guys. Are there any girls on this channel? If so, let me know. It'd be good to know that there's some women in the live streaming world, which seems very dominated by men. Yeah, until next week, have a great week, and I will. Where are we? Got to get my end show going. And I'll see you next week. So thanks for joining, and bye.